is all around us. Even now in this...
Because a lot of times people who are more conscious than other people will just drop these, what I call bombs, on people who haven't awakened to their level of consciousness yet. So they may say something like, the physical is not the reality. Or they may say something like, crystals talk, or that's why it's called swear words, because they actually, or curse words, because they put a curse on you. Or that the English language is a spell, that's why it's called spelling words. So a lot of times we hear different things like that, and we wonder why it rings so true to us, or it dawns on us as the absolute truth. And it's important to remember that just like how we awaken to realize we need to question our reality, and we need to question the things that we are taught. We need to question the things that we have learned in school. We need to question the things that are being said to us. We need to question our own behavior. We also need to remember to question the things or the knowledge that we are getting within the conscious community. We have to remember to stay woker than woke. We have to remember to question everything. We have to remember that just because someone has a perspective that might ring true to us internally, maybe we feel in our gut that it's true, it's still our responsibility to logically connect the dots for ourselves. So today, on the first episode of Glitching the Matrix, or Glitching Up the Matrix, we're going to discuss one of those bombs that I heard dropped, and after I hear something that rings true to me, I often sit in meditation and see what it means to me. So I can really contemplate what I'm hearing, not based off of the other person's information. And sometimes there is a lack of information, because to really allow the truth to hit home, you have to stumble upon the truth yourself. So if you're stumbling upon the truth yourself, then you are able to know for sure, for certain, that intuitive feeling rings true for you. That doesn't mean you don't logically connect the dots, but it means that sometimes you may just keep letting it get proved to you over and over again that this is your truth. So today we will be exploring one of those gems that was dropped for me, and that is that the Black woman is God. So when I first heard this, the Black woman is God, as soon as I started to think about it, my mentor called me. And when he called me, I asked him, I said, hey, I heard something, and I'm meditating on it right now. And he asked what I heard, and I said that the Black woman is God. Now, what he said is that we are all God. And I said, yeah, I know that, but I'm trying to see if the Black woman is God. So even though I know what I know and it rings true to me, I have to really sit with it to determine what it is that is leading me to this conclusion. Like I said, you'd never want to be someone who is being just led by someone else. No matter how woke they are, how conscious they are, how many things they have been right about, you still want to always do the research yourself. So that's what he told me, is that we were all the same, we were all one, we were all same. He puts it in terms like that, right? And so basically, if one person is that if we are all God, then it doesn't really matter. But it wasn't sitting right with me, so I still needed to explore this topic quite a bit more to see what is meant by the Black woman is God. So today, I will be exploring this concept of the Black woman is God to see the truth for me, and to allow you to share this journey and open up your mind, explore your perspective to this take, and to really get the conversation going about whether or not the Black woman is God, and the role of Black people here on Earth. So I'm supposed to have a special guest here with me. She may show up. If she shows up, I will let her in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So for today's episode of Glitching Up the Matrix, I have a couple of videos for you, and they are coming from young Pharaoh. So during Glitching Up the Matrix, we're going to be exploring different, not only the different gems that people drop, but also different people who are in the conscious community who are speaking out. Because I've realized the importance of stepping up and stepping into the world with the knowledge that we have as people who are more woke than others, to really wake people up, to not remain invisible, to not go off on our mountain peak and just stay up there by ourselves and look at everybody else and say why they don't get it. We want to actually leave our footprints here in the world and make a difference, because our energy is needed, our knowledge is needed, and the same way how I can hear these things and I'm like, yes, he's speaking the truth, or hey, I want to think about this more. It doesn't dawn on everybody like that. Some people hear things that they feel are completely ridiculous and just disregard it, instead of asking themselves, is there any truth in that? So that's the point of this, is for us to really wake up and wake up while woke, stay awake while woke, and to evaluate the different topics and things that come up in the different concepts and thought processes of people who are in the conscious community. So first up on our agenda is young Pharaoh. We're going to be looking at a couple of his videos to see the different things he has to say. He has a way of delivering to his, I like him because he has a way of delivering to his audience. And his audience is normally the millennial, right? And so remember to remain judgment free when we're reviewing the different people in the conscious community, because we want to just hear information for the truth that it holds. Okay, we're not going to be judging on anyone's personality or delivery style. We are going to be focusing on the truth that we hear and observing what it means to us. So without further ado, let's get started.
Action.
So the first video is The Black Woman is Amazing. So go ahead and play it.
All right, we're watching the first 3 minutes of Why the Black Woman is Amazing.
Peace, family. This video is about why the Black woman is amazing. And it is a shame that I even have to make this video. But there are still naysayers out there who I have no problem blatantly stamping the truth in your face. So with that being said, this video is to remind the Black race about our most prized possession. And you can say, oh, Pharaoh, you're pussy whipped, or you're gay or homosexual, or whatever y'all fools want to say. But I'm gonna hopefully remind you and awaken your DNA and your genes that are clearly dormant within you, and remind you about our most prized possession. Now you say, Pharaoh, how is the Black woman God? Da 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 da. First of all, are you ignorant to the fact that the Black woman carries within her the genes of not only everyone on this planet, male or female, but you watching this video? She is responsible for all humanoid life. Now we're not going to deal with, we know that nationalities are false, but let's just deal with that word for a minute. Whether you think you're Asian, Chinese, Spanish, Caucasian, British, whatever you want to be, Indian, South Korean, Jamaican, all of that, you came from a Black woman. Now, why is this important, Black people? You know, how have we fallen from grace? Because we have allowed white supremacy and every other race to take our respect and our understanding of the most prized possession that we have. Now, what do I mean by this? No other race can say that their woman is responsible for anybody other than them. Our race is the only race who can say our woman is responsible for not only us, but everyone else as well. The Chinese man cannot say, Ching Chong Tong Chong, my woman, Kim Long, is responsible for Black people, white people, Puerto Rican people. No. The Chinese woman is responsible for Chinese people. The white woman is responsible for white people. The Spanish woman is responsible for Spanish people. The Black woman is responsible for all of the above that I just named, and anybody else tomorrow who might want to come out the womb as a defective gene and walk this planet. So Black people, we have the most we have the portal of life. We got the juice. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? It's like, we have the ingredients. They just got the product. We are the manufacturer, okay? We have the juice. We got God, literally. If we want to create a race tomorrow, guess who we need to do it? The black woman. If we want to do gene manipulation and create a fucking humanoid tomorrow, same way the Caucasian was created, guess who we need to do it? The black woman. We have the portal of life. And we allow everybody else to take that understanding from us and exploit our most powerful prized possession.
Right, pause. So that was my first point. When meditating on the fact of, is the black woman God? And that was one of the things I came up with, right? Was that everyone can say of every race that they have some form of African DNA in them. So they come from a black woman. They come from a black person. And we already know that men don't just create babies. So it's women that create babies. So why that is important when it comes to the understanding of the black woman being God is, yes, everyone is God. Yes, we're all made from God, but it goes all the way back to, I guess, just the strongest point of manifestation. So if like you said, if we're going to have a race, a new race of people, we're going to start with the black woman and keep manipulating the DNA until we get different kind of races. So if we're going to revert all the way back to the origin, we're going to come up with it being a black woman. And I feel like that's important because it's not to negate the fact that other people are God, but it's to draw awareness to the fact that we need to realize where our roots are, where our roots are strongest at. Okay, you can keep going. I think you have 4 minutes.
Oh, keep going on this one?
Yeah, you have another one on this one?
Oh, so mine was at 4:38.
Okay.
Yep. Like right before. So probably like
Every earthquake that ever happened, she was motherfucking here, stupid. For every tornado, she was here. You motherfuckers want to keep talking about the Ice Age. Guess who the fuck was here for that? The black woman. Willie Mammoth, saber-tooth tiger, all that shit you stupid motherfuckers like to keep talking about. Guess who was here for that? The fucking black woman, not the white man. The black woman. She, all of that. Slavery. She's been here for all of that. She's been
all right. Wait.
Everything. So you niggas be talking about, oh, I've been in the streets, I've been through all of this, and I done seen everything. That's nice. Motherfucker, you ain't seen no Ice Age. You ain't seen none of that. You ain't seen no motherfucking earthquakes. You ain't seen Pangea tectonic plates disassemble. The black woman has been here for all of that and is still kicking today.
Okay. So the reason why this part was so important and stood out to me was it just showed me the depths of our healing and the depths of our traumas. You know, going through everything that he's saying, like we've been through everything, every single thing that you could possibly think of. And so it just made me understand that our power is infinite, but more so that the depths and the layers of our healing, it goes a very long way. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too.
You know, you mentioned something saying like when you say the black woman is God and the black woman is amazing, other people may look at it like they're taking offense to, like they're taking offense to us saying this. And I think for many years we've always dimmed our light to make other people feel comfortable with this understanding. But it doesn't take, when you understand yourself, this is why I don't believe that we're all equal. You realize that my gifts and your gifts are not the same, but it doesn't take anything away from you. You know, it's not like, you know, how he said that everybody else is mutated genes of the black race, the black woman. But that doesn't mean that you are less than as a person, or you should be offended that this is facts about the Black woman. I feel like sometimes when we're bigging up, or I don't know, what's a better word for it, when we're shining the light, showing appreciation for something in someone else, other people take offense to it. But I don't think this video was to offend anyone, but it was definitely to lay down the facts. The Black woman, and it makes sense that, you know, when you see the power in something, you have a reason to want to take the power away. You have a reason to want to hold back, in a sense, hold back as far as hold that person back. You know, jealousy can arise and all these things. And it makes sense that with so much power that Black women have, we are the most hated women and mistreated women, you know, in the world. And our power have been played with for so long, where we don't even understand our own power today, but other people seem to see it. Like, how are we the most hated and disrespected and mistreated?
The most imitated.
But yet we're the most desirable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how you said, like, just because he's shining light on the fact that he feels the Black woman is God, or that the Black woman is God, doesn't mean that other people don't serve their purpose, doesn't mean that other women are less than. Mm-hmm. But it is to say that if you feel you are great, if you know you are God, and we all know that we are extension of each other, we are the same, just, you know, manifest in a different way when we're looking out from our inner world, then we're all connected. But if you understand that connection, to get the most powerful connection, you retrace it back to, well, what am I connected to? What am I connected to? All the way to the source, which is God.
Right.
And so if we have a problem with understanding who we are, or the fact that we are God, okay, let me stop saying we. If people of other races have a problem with understanding that despite the presence, the true nature of who they are, being from a Black person, knowing that they are, I don't want to say watered down version, but I'm thinking in pictures right now, knowing that they are not the original source, and they are, you know, their genes have been manipulated to be a different version of what ours is. Mm-hmm. Knowing that, and ignoring where they come from, mm-hmm. ignoring the fact that they would not exist had it not been for our race of people, especially the women, our race, mm-hmm. then that is to take away their own power, in a sense. That is to so that's like saying, if we're going to honor our ancestors, that's honoring all of our ancestors besides the ones who started all off that. That's completely wiping off the waste, wiping or erasing out from existence the true power.
Yeah. That's
how I look at it. And so I feel like it's important, because if we're going to talk about energy, if we're going to talk about our power in any context, we have to remember the basis of it, is that if this is a true source that it came from, you should be lifting up high. You should not be stepping all over as if it means nothing. Even when it comes to spirituality type stuff, a lot of Caucasian people, who do they turn to when they want to learn about meditation, when they want to learn about anything spiritual? They turn to people of color. Yep. Alone Black people, Black women, Black men. They turn to people of color. And it's just something in us that we know. Like I said, it's about intuition and connecting it logically. So it's something in us that lets us know that this is the truth. And that's why we are led back to it. A lot of people aren't turning toward white people looking for spirituality, but right. They're turning toward people of color looking for spirituality.
But, you know, when I was awakening, a lot of the people that I saw teaching spirituality were white. Caucasian. They were more supported to me as I guess on YouTube, social media, than Black individuals. And I kind of was looking like, this is interesting.
Now, more supported, I have seen that more supported. So when you look at, what's your girl's name? Abraham Hicks. When you look at Abraham Hicks and people like that, Tony Robbins, yeah, they're more supported, but I feel like that's just because mainstream again, you know. I feel like spirituality has been, people have been awakening, right? They've been waking up. And so the people who are who think that they're in charge or who are trying to run the world, they realize it can't be stopped. So then they infiltrate it. And I feel like they tried to get in and direct the shift. So they have certain people who they're okay with promoting and things like that. So I don't feel like these Caucasian people who you say are being promoted and supported are being promoted and supported from us.
Okay.
I feel like that's what's thrown in our face. And I also feel like the same way how we have mentors and we're not going toward the masses to be our mentor, we find mentors that are more, that we feel are spiritually elevated to points that we aren't even at yet. Mm-hmm. Those people who they have like as like the mascot of spirituality, the Caucasian people, they have entities or mentors who I would almost bet are not white.
Okay.
So as in they're the mascot of it, but they're not the actual person behind a lot of stuff that is helping them grow.
Makes sense.
Just like how everything about spirituality, but a lot of things are told to us, but it was to us as Black people, but it was given to Caucasian people and other races from Black people in the first place.
Right.
It's just retold to us.
That's facts. All right. Are you ready to,
Yeah, we can move to the next one.
Okay. And so we are doing The Black Woman is God. And so we're in 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah, we're I believe not 5 minutes and
5 minutes 30 seconds.
5 minutes and 30 seconds, yeah. I love listening to Pharaoh.
Good as fun. I've been putting you on him.
Yeah, I used to. I would sleep on him.
Voice activator and say parthenogenesis definition. Black women, only black women could perform parthenogenesis. What parthenogenesis is, unless you know what mitochondria is within the cells, look that up too, mitochondria. The female mitochondria, unlike male mitochondria, is the only mitochondria that can reproduce itself sexually. Not no hermaphrodite, not no asexual, not none of that shit. Don't get on here talking about, oh, we come from hermaph. Shut the fuck up. No, we don't. The female mitochondria is the only mitochondria that can produce itself. The female was able to fertilize herself at one point in time and give life without the help of a male counterpart. Look this up. There were all females on the planet at one time. Now, whether you believe in UFOs or whatever, I really don't give a fuck, because it is. Look it up. If you don't believe me, your same U.S. government has a whole Majestic 12 secret group that's specified to deal with extraterrestrial beings. They have Area 51. They have all this shit in your face. So don't argue with me. Argue with the same motherfuckers who deal with these people every day. The number one risk of national security is alien breach. So why would the government be worried about an alien breach if they felt they wasn't real? Not that Jesus coming back. Jesus coming back is not nowhere on the list of national security, but UFOs coming back is number one. So nigga, ask Barack Obama. Don't argue with me about if you think aliens is real. Now,
wait, he had a point after that.
I didn't know when to stop.
that being said, black people, our ancestors, yes, live in the 19th galaxy. We live in the 18th galaxy. Our solar system is a binary solar system, which means two. We actually are joint with another solar system, but I'm not going into that. Now, who I will refer to as the Anunnaki, or in the Bible, it will refer to as the angels. If you go to the Bible and you go to Ezekiel, it speaks right there in chapter 1 of him having an interaction with extraterrestrials. The X chromosome that we know in a woman is 5 times larger than the Y chromosome, which makes a man. If you take 2.8% of that X chromosome away from itself, it becomes weaker and it becomes a Y chromosome. The male body was made from the female's body. So Adam didn't make Eve, Eve made Adam. They reversed the creation story. If you don't believe me, a male's body is a defective offspring of a female's body. We are the only beings on the planet that don't use all of our body. What do I mean by that? We have nipples and we don't use them. We don't produce milk. We don't breastfeed, and there's other shit that we have, that females have, that we don't do. When females come out, they get circumcised. Men, we have to get circumcised because our penis is actually like the tube of a vagina. It comes out with extra skin on it and all.
Okay, I kept saying pause it. You can pause it. You like hearing him talk.
I love Pharaoh. Pharaoh know I love him.
All right, so he said a couple of good things. Can you go to the last slide that I have with the research on there? So I actually looked up, because part of this is when you're waking up and you're getting hip to all this new information that you may not have had before, you want to still do your research, right? And he says look it up. But anyway, it's something you should look up if you've never heard of it. Mm-hmm. So I never heard of parthenogenesis, and this is what he was talking about. So I did a bunch of research, and I was searching on Google trying to find information about parthenogenesis. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't find much about it besides in plants. In plants and in other animals, really rare to vertebrates, things like that. So again, inside of me, I knew this wasn't the truth. So I stopped looking or doing my research like a sleep person, basically using Google and things like that. So I had to go outside to do other search engines, and I really looked them up to see different search engines. But there was a whole bunch of information about women who have been claiming to have given birth while being virgins, and and this stuff is recent. So, and this research says that like virgin births claimed by 1% of U.S. moms. This study was done in 2013, and then there were other. There's more to the research on the next page. But so what parthenogenesis is that basically a woman. I'm saying woman. It could be a plant too, but a person is able to basically just produce another offspring of itself, another offspring all on its own without having an egg fertilized by a male sperm or anything like that. So they're just able to reproduce all on their own. And so you can go to the next page too. I think before, if this is the last page, go to the one before that, the slide before that. There we go. And so there are actual scientific journals written about it. There are research done about it. There's one in here. This one is from 2017. So it's not a long time ago. These things are happening all the time. And in it, it concludes by saying that basically that it's not, that these types of things can happen, and to really understand, to really keep track, that's what they're saying, to keep track of when this stuff is happening, is that they will need to test out every single child that is born, because there are certain genes in people that will let them know or be able to have them detect who was able to do this, who was able to replicate on their own. Now, they say a lot of people do it, and a lot of people do have these spontaneous births like this, but that sometimes it's not viable. The baby dies inside, or it doesn't have every single body part that a person's supposed to have, which goes to show, even with that, even with the failed attempts that happen, that we have this ability, right? That somewhere along the way something happened to shift that ability, but that it is the truth that we contain these powers somewhere within. So I thought that was absolutely amazing when I read that. That helped to solidify in my head some of the things he was saying, which is that women were here for a long, long time, like the part that you pointed out. And that at one point in time, there were only women here. These kind of things make sense. And then he said, if you look at the chromosomes for the women, it's two X chromosomes. If you look at it for the men, it's an X and a Y. And we were taught to believe that the man, gave his rib and then formed Eve, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And basically that the woman was made from the man. And this makes no sense if we look at it from the chromosome perspective, because to have a full X and take off part of it to make a X and a Y makes a lot more sense than them somehow adding something back on. You get what I'm saying? Like, evolution is one thing, but for things to start going wrong, which we already see happening now, some of the things that we were able to do before is no, because if we're evolving, we're naturally getting rid of some other things as well. So that just naturally makes more sense in my spirit than women coming from men, or it going from the XY to growing more to be in 2 X's.
Right. And one thing that you said, yeah, as we're evolving away from nature too. So who knows
Correct.
what DNA structure we are placing and we're putting to be dormant. You know, all just the different codes that we're unlocking. And if we are constantly locking up codes, remember, it takes 7 generations for a DNA, for a new code to unlock. And that's 7 generations of consistency on one code for it to fully unlock. And so if we are, if there are so many codes that is just our original state. And like they said, if we've been around for so long, who knows how many codes that we have to unlock that are just sitting within us dormant right now. So for it makes sense that, you know, the babies that are born today are coming out with these
Exactly.
deficiencies and not coming out fully whole, but it definitely shows the possibility. It's just like back then, did they have allergies?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like back then, did they have all these different birth defects that we have now? Who knows? I know, I don't personally know. I don't have to research for that, but I'm sure that our DNA and our gene structure has definitely shifted, which is causing all of us to come out mutated.
Yeah, and then they say we have a lot of people's pineal glands get calcified. Some people are born with calcified pineal glands to begin with.
Right.
So that's showing already that stuff inside of our body isn't quite working the way it used to work.
Right.
And we have a bunch of things that they call junk DNA, meaning that they don't know what it does. They don't know the function that it has anymore. And I don't believe that they really don't know, but I believe that they don't want us to know what it is that we are capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. Right. But, and like I said, it's so hard. It's so hard. It literally, like, for instance, for us to move away from the defects of eating meat, right? That's me. That's my son. That's his son or children and their children and their children and their children. It's 7 generations. So that is just to say clean up the diet. 7 generations to where we're no longer a match to any diseases and illnesses that are linked to eating meat.
Right.
So that's just one thing. But as you know, as we continue to go down this rabbit hole of spirituality, we're unlocking things over and over and over again. So who knows what other abilities and powers we have to unlock that we personally won't be able to do in this lifetime, just because, you know, of the life that we were born into, and the amount of time it takes to unlock these different DNA codes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have anything else in this video?
I did not.
Okay.
Besides, the lady was really patient and she kept moving his head like, I know how that goes.
He was getting it in.
All right, the Black Woman's Genius, 4 minutes, and then that's 10:50, 17:50, and then 26 and 36.
Okay, yeah.
I wish y'all to see me like this. I know they killed my nigga. R.I.P.
That itself now has become intellectually misguided and egotistically inflated by a patrilineal society. So let me break this down, right? Women are force, let's say force consumers. Men are force projectors. So in science, negative and positive does not mean bad and good. It means female and masculine. So masculine energy is projected. Protons project energy. The sun projects energy. Men, we project force. We're outgoing. Women are more introverted naturally. They accept force, okay? They digest force. And so force means what? To exert a frequency. Frequency exerter.
Okay, so what he said was key for me, because if you think about the yin and the yang, it's showing the male and female energy flow, right? So I know me. I know that I'm a person. I know that I'm a woman who does transmute energy, and I know I do it very well. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, so back to what I was saying. So you have the yin and the yang, and that's the energy flow between the masculine and feminine, right? So if it all starts, let's say it all starts as a Black woman being God and possessing both of those energies together, and is able to exert it and transmute it, exert it and transmute it, where it's just flowing, right? Then they separate, and now you have a female and you have a male. Mm-hmm. They both still have that energy. If they come together peacefully, they can, like he said, it could flow. The male can keep exerting all the energy, and the female can transmute it, and they can make something beautiful that flows together. Mm-hmm. Now, if you separate it and you infiltrate it, and you take the Black woman with her feminine energy, and you make her masculine, you make her independent, you make her to the point where she feels like she has to somehow, I guess, shed another part of her X chromosome to create a Y chromosome somewhere within to survive out here in this world, then you have a messed up ball of energy, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you take the Black male that came originally, remember, from the Black female, mm-hmm. So you have him separate, and you turn him into a female, or you promote that, or they're feminine now, and then you disconnect them with the emotions, because everybody's disconnected from their emotions. Then you have this mixed up ball of energy too. So when they're trying to come back together, the Black male and the Black female, because they have been infiltrated and messed up energetically, they're not able to come back together and flow. They come back and they clash. They really can't even see eye to eye anymore, because the energy is not able to identify each other as once belonging, because we've literally created other entities outside of one that was one in the first place. So I feel that's very important, because you always see these cases where if you have a successful male, you see a woman right there too, who is able to, what I feel like, who is able to transmute that energy. Whatever the guy is doing, the woman, he's able to bounce it off the woman, and vice versa. They're able to flow together. But when you infiltrate that and you're able to make them hate each other without even letting them know that they're still going to have that natural attraction, because genetically and deep down the roots, they belong, like they are one, but subconsciously they are repelling each other. And that's what you see that's happening right now in the world between Black females and Black males, that they have become toxic toward each other, and that makes us unable to grow. And so if you disconnect the main source of energy, Black woman is God. So if you disconnect that, if she disconnects herself, she creates the male, and then she's even more disconnected on both ends, again, split up even more, you will never see the true power that lies within, as long as people aren't able to get over the fact of Black women being God, and accepting their Blackness, and accepting accepting the truth of it all, that we have been completely psychologically, energetically, physically messed up. We have been, somebody has it in for us big time, and it's not our fault. So if we can forgive the fact that it's not our fault, maybe somehow we can work together and see what that energy is really like when it fuses back together the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. I think I talked about that today, about how, strong Black woman, like, why do we have to have these adjectives to describe us that's not feminine? And that is because we have taken on more of the masculine roles in our family, because the masculine role has been removed. And I think a lot of us subconsciously overcompensate and want to be that masculine energy. And then in turn, it emasculates our men because they are acting in the feminine role. And as you say, if you're not in alignment, you're not growing. Being a masculine woman, you're not in alignment. Being a feminine man, you're not in alignment. So coming together is not going to make you guys succeed because you're already not operating in the way that you were created to operate. And so, and we're just talking about heterosexual relationships.
Correct.
Just for the record, anything outside of that, we're just not talking about it right now. But is when we have the roles reversed, it leads for broken families, it leads for broken homes. And before slavery, or I could be wrong, but before slavery, families were together. And it's so much trauma that has caused us to reverse the roles, so much trauma and damage that was done to our race, that in governmental things that cause us to reverse the roles, where we are in a place where our families won't succeed, our communities won't succeed, and we aren't. Black men are known for running off and leaving their families and not taking care of their children and their homes and all of that. Even thinking about it, like Black women are known for having babies before being married and struggling and being a strong Black woman and holding up that title and being able to give the short end of the stick because they know we're so strong and resilient.
And it's all types of proof too that that's how we know that our energy is messed up, that what's happening is not right now. That it's not just, it can't be our race that is just fuck ups like that. It's something deeper that's going on. Right.
And it's like, of course we see things showing up right now, but it's been going on. This isn't anything new. It's just continuously showing up. But at the same time, I do see other people that's working to bring it back together. I do know individuals like myself who is not settling for that narrative. And I think as we continue to evolve, we're starting to see a shift. But it's just gonna take time. Like I said, we can't expect those to wake up. And that's why I look at everything as a marathon. How far are you willing to throw the ball so the next generation can pick up and continue the healing?
And yeah, you said something. I'm remembering what you said, but was there anything else on that one?
Let me see, because you're at 10:50. Let me see if mine goes farther than 10:50. Oh, I was right. 1 minute and 15 seconds. We gotta go back.
Okay. Oh, what you said. Huh? What you said that you're not settling for less, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that was that triggered something in me because, like I said, inside, I know I transmute energy, right? And I'm okay with letting a guy exert that energy, but it has to be the right energy. When I can detect when that energy is off, then you definitely will not be throwing that energy my way and expecting me to help transmute anything. Mm-hmm. But when that energy is the type of energy that is needed or that I resonate with, I'm able to allow that to happen. And so we still have it in us where we can detect that something is off. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said, you're still looking because you're going to find the energy that's right, because we are healing ourselves. You will find that person who has healed themselves and is now a match for the transmuter that you are.
Ashe. Yeah, definitely. So, we can talk about this one forever, but we just gonna go on. We gonna go back.
Right now. And so that being said, we're going to the word genius, right? Genius, Genius, right? We know that genes, we're talking about genetics. You get your memories from genetic, so hold that thought. Gene and then yes. Ius is a suffix, which means to be or to belong to, right? Now, with that being said, the word genius, right, inherently, because it's two words put together. So when you piece these words together, it means genes belonging to. But when you go to the etymological roots of the word genius, you'll see that it means by definition, a soul that was innately present with you at the time of birth. And so the word to become a genius is what? A genius is somebody who can tap into information at an accelerated pace due to accessing certain genetic codes at a higher frequency rate than the average human. So we know that to become a genius, you have to be able to tap into a higher standard of your genealogical composition than the average person. But then the etymological roots of the word genius means a spirit that was present with you at birth. And the suffix on the end, IUS, means to belong to, and then genes is for your genetics. So the word genius in all pure essence means genetic abilities that belong to you from a spiritual standpoint that's been present with you since birth. And you get your genetics from your ancestors, okay? And everybody has spirit guide and ancestors that walk with them, etc. Now, why is this important? Black women have the oldest genes on the fucking planet, okay? The mitochondrial Eve gene. So not only just through definition of the word, but through calculated chronology of their DNA sequence and coding chains, we know that they're the most intelligent.
All right. So I think that part stood out to me because I think a lot of times we don't shine the light on Black excellence as far as women. Like, we are the leaders. Black women are the leaders in entrepreneurship, successful entrepreneurship. I think I should have did some research like you, but I think we're the number one graduates. We hold some of the
college, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we hold some of the highest degrees. And I know that I have friends that are genius, you know, and I mean, I know some Black women that's a little ditzy too, but and a little aloof, but it makes sense. It makes sense. And I feel as though, like, the more we lean towards self-love, I feel like self-love and understanding and knowing self, those individuals that I connect with, they are so much, they're just smarter.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying, because I feel like we're unlocking these codes and we're just cleaning ourselves up. And the more we clean ourselves up, the more access we have to these parts of us. But yes.
He said in the other video about the fact that when Black people were overtaken, I guess, that they changed our way of life from being matriarchal to patriarchal. And I think what you were just talking about is key to it, because not only, I mean, yeah, this is about Black women as God, but women in general have, the light isn't shined on the things that we're able to do academically, right? You may say, oh, it's the first woman to have done this, okay? So it's already that light of it being a patriarch, which divides us, let alone dividing us from race and things like that. So if we're thinking in the way of the European, then we're going to continue to have these problems, because we have to go back, like he said, all the way to the beginning of our genes and how we like you said, we're going far from nature. So we have to go all the way back to when it was natural. When it was natural, it was about the woman. And so now when you're saying that, you know, Black women are the leads in entrepreneurship and in college and things like that, not only are they not shedding the light on the mental power of Black people, they are encouraging us to forget about our mental and focus solely on our physical. They want us to just be worried about our butts and our legs and our body images as women. And for the men, they want us to worry about our body images. Are you an athlete? Or are you a rapper? Like, the most smart they're gonna let you be and get a lot of money is if you're rapping, you're able to rhyme your words. Right. And when people aren't seeing, when Black people are feeling like academic type of jobs are only for white people, or that all they can aspire to do is do something with their body, then they naturally forget about their mind. They don't invest in their mind, and that's where all of our power is. And we have to start doing more, or supporting each other more. Like you said, even in the spirituality world, you saw white people being supported more than Black people. So we have to start supporting each other more when we are stepping out doing these roles that are showing our academic intelligence.
Absolutely. And I think another thing is that we fall into I feel like religion plays a huge role in the manipulation when it comes to the matriarchal and patriarchal system, because when we see it, most of the religious leaders that are compared to God are males.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the religious leaders are males, and that type of role usually carries a masculine energy. When we hear, Buddha and Muhammad and Allah, it's interesting because I know when having a conversation with someone from the Nation of Islam, they talk about how the woman is God, but yet she's still one lesser than man or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how? Why do women have to get put down? But when you understand, what I've grown to understand is much is given. Big I don't even know how to put it in like a sage type of way, but the more you struggle, the more you get with a contrast, the more you get tested, is the more power you have that you are unaware of. Or yeah, and the more power you have, the more you tested, the more difficult your journey and your task is. It just shows the importance and the power that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it balances each other out, and it shows that you were built for this. Like how people say, like, oh well, if it didn't take you out, you're fine. Like you were made to do this.
Whose role is lighter than a Black woman? Whose role is lighter than women? Having children.
Having children.
Having periods.
Mm-hmm.
Raising the children. Like, that is not easy task. I think the hardest tasks are given to the strongest warriors, I think is what I'm trying to say, or the most worthy or powerful warriors. We can sage it down however we want to, but all I'm saying is that says a lot. The fact that we can carry so much, which is why they're associating us with strong.
Mm-hmm.
It says a lot about who we are.
And so when you were talking about religion, I think it might be the next time slot I have, or timestamp that I have for this, but it talks about, it was the same video, but it talks about wedding vows, right? And I wanted to talk about that because I don't know which one, how far along it was, but I want to talk about that because when he mentions it, was it there? When he mentioned it, I thought about my own wedding vows. I thought about the fact that me and my husband purposely didn't let them do theirs. We said our own things because we understand it to be that a lot of the stuff that they're making you promise and agree to for your wedding is not something that we necessarily hold truth because of our religious stance or our lack thereof of religious stance. And so we wanted to make sure that our wedding was, and our vows were personal to us and our beliefs. And thinking about it, I'm so glad I did that, because one of the ones that always get people is when they say, like, the woman is supposed to love, honor, and obey her husband. And so if we naturally have a matriarchal society, or is in us to have that, and women are the transmuters of energy, if we are supposed to just obey, if they say to obey the husband, then that's just saying that don't transmute nothing. Let him just do whatever. Let the energy just flow right through you. And we're transmuters for a reason. So I'm really glad that we didn't do that, let alone just think about the people who do that. And even if people don't remember what their wedding vows were, it's still psychologically in their head. So it's still something that they have taken an agreement to, that this is what they're going to do. And to obey somebody is to just say that you have no say-so, and what they will is what you'll make happen. So you're not even transmuting, you're just allowing it to manifest through you. And sometimes that's not really conducive to the relationship.
That's facts. Let's hear 1050.
We reached a point where no matter what a Black woman says, her cries never get answered. And so this ain't about kissing ass or making a video to kiss Black women ass. This is about motherfucking truth. So we've become so patrilineal patrilineally, egotistically boosted by this bullshit ass Western psychology that your woman could constantly come to you with complaints and ask you to do shit, and it could be a valid complaint or a valid request, but we so inflated to the point of just being a man, we feel like we can't even listen because for some reason we feel like we can't submit or listen to no woman. AKA, we've been so programmed to reject divine energy and female energy. And this is why the world is fucked up. Because when you look at everything that's going on in the world, if you ask a nigga right now, right? If you ask a nigga, have you ever seen somebody get killed, or do you have any friends that ended up dead or in jail? And they say yes. And we say, well, who killed them in that drive-by shooting? Wasn't no car full of females. I'm not saying it's never happened, but it's very rare. If you say, motherfucker, ever been in a club and, you know, got shot after a club, you know, over gang, you know, interminglings? Who did it? A nigga. So that being said, when we say who started world wars over religion, who the fuck knocked down the towers and fucking, you know, tricked us to go over there and fight with the Middle East? Niggas. And by niggas, I don't mean black people. I just mean men in general. I'm just using the term niggas. But with that being said, men. So this shows you that men are not supposed to be leading the planet in such a way. Women are supposed to be the emotional. See, we're talking about leadership. Everything has a lane. So just because you're a leader, it means a leader of what? If you play Call of Duty, you might be the leading motherfucking, you might have the lead scorer. You might be leading the goddamn scoreboard for kills in Call of Duty. But if you come try that shit on 2K, it's a dub for you. So anybody can lead in their own lane. Men are meant to be leading and projective in ways that cause us to project our force. So we're supposed to be leading in the ways that protect, or ways where we can be useful in an exertive way. Women are supposed to be leading in ways where they can accept, or where they can be leading in a nurturing way. So when it comes to the total collective of consciousness, women should be leading in that emotional, mental, and spiritual role. And this is why before religion came, all spiritual deities were women, because they were nurturers. Just like when you're a baby, you go to your mother.
Okay. And so that's exactly what he was saying, is that if you allow the male energy to just go uncontrolled, unchecked, it can lead to really bad things happening, because they have that much energy. So how I look at a woman being the transmuter, person who transmutes the energy, is basically like how I look at a battery. A battery can kind of like store the energy and then dish it out as it needs. If it's connected to something, it can push the energy flow through and get something started. Like, let's say it's this flashlights and a battery and a flashlight. The battery alone is the woman, and when it's connected properly, it can make the flashlight light up, right? And so then I look at the man's energy as him exerting it as being basically the power that can shoot through the light. So basically the light can shine forever if it was never checked by a battery, you know. So the male energy can just keep going, keep growing, and if it doesn't know how to process the emotions behind it, it's a force to be reckoned with in a way that will basically cause so much destruction, and can even, like a world war that can kill everybody in the whole world. It can blow up a planet before it's going to be checked. And I feel like that's the role of the woman, is to know how to convert that energy to something greater.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do feel as though women are more on the empathetic, the nurturing side naturally. And a lot of times women ego, yes, we have fragile ego, but a lot of times women will, like he said, is naturally introverted. We will revert back to ourselves, in opposed to going after, because we were naturally gatherers. We're not the hunters. We're not the ones that go out and fight and go out that naturally, besides Shorty, who blew up her band's Jeep. And
I just heard something about that. I ain't looked at it yet.
But naturally, under normal circumstances, we are more nurturing and loving, and not necessarily the fighters, like the men. And so I feel as though how politics is set up, they want to completely remove the emotional side out of everything and just use their brain, use the logical side, and sometimes it doesn't have balance, like you said with the battery.
Hmm.
It's not balanced, and so we're getting too much of one side, which is catastrophic,
It is.
causing everything. Just like in China when they had that guy leading, or North Korea, South.
North Korea.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that's ego.
That's what I think it allows. That it allows for, because we all have ego, right? That we have to consciously remember that it's there and to crush it at all times if it's something that is going to get in the way of our growth, right?
Mhm.
And for men to have their energy just be able to flow like that without it being transmuted any kind of way, that is just feeding the ego, allowing the ego to grow. The ego takes over the person.
Mm.
So we're just literally being driven by males with their ego of these males.
Mhm. Okay.
I don't. There's. I believe there's another timestamp, but that one I think was gonna talk about the vow. So that part that was just on was just to show the fact that what's happening that's making some relationships really toxic when it comes to Black males and females is that a lot of times the female is not being heard when she is giving her truth or expressing what she's seeing, expressing her thoughts and concerns, or even things that she sees that could improve, like, oh, you're trying to do this, but this would work better. If Black women are being shut down by Black men, then and ignored,
Mhm.
then it could be seen as the woman is nagging all the time, or that the woman is not encouraging her man just because she's not saying that what he's saying that he wants to do is something that is conducive toward their future or his own future. And then these Black males are turning toward females of other races because they are more submissive. So they don't want, it's getting to a point where Black men aren't wanting Black women who are quote unquote strong, or they're intimidated by them. And that's because they have to kind of be submissive themselves to allow somebody to transmute their energy, period. And a lot of these egos are out of whack, where they want no one and nothing to hold them down. They want no one and nothing to check what they have to say, because what they say is law.
Yeah, they feel like that you're taking something away from them by being that, and I felt that was my issue. I um naturally, look at me, I'm catching myself. I was programmed to default into more of the masculine energy
Mm-hmm.
as a Black woman. Um, and so with that, I attracted a lot of feminine men. And when I was exuding that energy, now I'm exuding the energy as far as like making complaints is what they might call suggestions, or letting them know what the issue was. I felt like it always came off as I was emasculating the men.
Right.
It always offended them to where they felt less than, and they reverted, and it felt like it was a competition in the relationship, um, because me saying that made them feel as if they weren't good enough, or I was being really offensive to them, and it was taken in a negative context, instead of saying like, hey, we're on the same team and this is my role in your life to help you win. Who else wants you to win but your partner? So this isn't anything taken away from you, but I feel like a lot of Black men were coddled by their moms, and so when they do, the women were raised, the sons were loved, is what they say. And so when they're coddled by their moms, who allowed everything to go, never really checked them or corrected them with anything that they did, and then now the masculine women that these same mothers raised are now correcting their sons, they're not used to that energy.
Yeah, they're not. And when they can't handle a Black woman, then they go to women of other races and say that, oh, that's because Becky lets, she respects me as a man and things like that. But like you said, it's because of I really feel like a lot of it's because of how Black women raise their sons, or how some of them raise their sons, And I learned, I forget the term, but it's basically when a Black woman is afraid to let her Black son grow up in America because of all the different things that can happen to them, where they are subconsciously raising them in a way to be fearful because she's afraid to let her son go out here in this world. And so that's something I understand as far as just to see what goes on, you know, how the disrespect that people have toward Black lives, especially toward Black men. But and that causes the Black woman to take away the masculinity of her child, or to not allow them to truly know what it feels like to be a man who can exert that energy to protect the female race. So we actually have a lot of weak men, you know, that are growing up because they're not raised to provide and protect. They're raised to be coddled.
Yep. Whew. I'm about to, you know, I'm promoting this, but I'm listening. You ready for 750?
Okay.
From your genes, not just from intuition and soul. This is why Black women they're the most spiritually in tune, because they're the most genetically in tune. Your psychology and your chakras go hand in hand with your genetics, motherfucker. Genetics is one of the most important subjects of you that you don't pay no attention to. And so with that being said, the most genetically advanced and evolved organism on the planet, which by default causes them to become the most psychologically and spiritually in tune entity on the planet, is not being allowed to play her role because you have egotistically become created into a being who feels like I'm a man and can't no motherfucking woman tell me what to do. And now you believe that you the man in the house because that bitch ass Bible told you you's the man in the house. The Bible say women can't even talk in church. The Quran say women supposed to get the fuck out the goddamn mosque when they on their period. They even go look up the definition of the word curse. C-U-R-S-E, curse. It's gonna say menstruation in it. They even went as far as to make menstruation a curse. When in ancient times, menstruation was a blessing. You wasn't even allowed to go into, they were killed. When women were giving birth, women gave birth in an all dark room that was set up in a certain manner that I'm not gonna go into right now. But if you even peeked, and they didn't give a fuck if you was the dad. If you went in there while that woman was giving birth, while them other goddesses was help delivering that child, they was killing your ass, nigga. That's how divine women were considered back then. Now, you feel like you the man in the house. When back then, according to being a Pharaoh or a Pharaoh, nigga, it was the high house of the woman. And when you took the woman off her throne, we fucked our whole civilization up. And so, it's important.
Okay. So he said some things that rang true for me too, because I know, because like I said, I used to be a Muslim myself. Yeah. And that was something I heard all the time. And even a Buddhist temple that I went to, it asked before you went in there if you were on your period. If your response was just you're on your period, you weren't allowed to enter. Really? And so I didn't know that for people who claim the Buddhist religion. I didn't know that was something there, but I know it's to be true for Muslims. And that is that if you're on your period, you're seen as unholy and not clean. So a lot of times I would do Ramadan. And if you're doing Ramadan, which is a period of fasting, if you're on your period, you're not allowed to fast. And even if you do, it doesn't count because you're too dirty to basically be, you're too dirty to be trying to fast and give and sacrifice in some way to God. Or Allah. Allah doesn't want that because you're not pure during the times when you're menstruating. So anyone who's fasting during Ramadan and they're on their period, they have to not fast and basically make up those days later. So if your period lasts 7 days, you got to make up 7 days of fasting. The last 3 days, they make up 3 days of fasting. And I used to always it didn't matter if I was on my period or not. I would still fast and I wouldn't make up nothing because I felt like that wasn't right. Like that, there were just certain things that I was disconnected from. You couldn't just tell me that. And I said, why would we be made to have periods? Why would we be made to, this is the way we carry a child, but it's seen as so unclean that God don't want nothing, or Allah don't want nothing to do with us while we're on our period. That made absolutely no sense to me.
Right.
But he hit the nail on the head for me when he said that, because like you said before, you said religion is part of the problem. It promotes these patriarchal ideas, and that shows right there how it does. And then he was talking about how Black women are naturally spiritual and intuitive. And when you see people like on these reality TV shows and stuff, and like the girl will call and say, you know, she's getting a feeling that the guy is doing something wrong, or if he isn't coming home, or that he's been talking to somebody else, or whatever the case is, she's getting all these kind of gut feelings, right? And what do the guys do? They disregard that. They tell her it's not true. They tell her, basically, they try to teach her to go against her natural instinct, which is letting her know something. They mess with them mentally, where even if they are feeling like something just isn't adding up, that they're not going to speak about anymore, because they're going to start to feel crazy. So that's getting them out of alignment with who they are internally in their spirit, when they are trying to just keep a man who at the end of the day is lying to them. And so when he was talking about women being ignored and women being really spiritual, that rang a bell in my head, because I see that happening all the time, when you can tell your friend that, oh, he's not answering the phone for you after this time at night. Oh, he lives with his woman, or he's married, and they don't see it. They're going against their own inner feeling that something's wrong, and then one day they wake up and find out what's going on. But that messes somebody up, and I don't think that that's fair. I think that's part of the game, is that they to throw us off of our spirituality.
Absolutely, because women are most divine and most spiritually connected while they're on their cycle. I've read in many books, in Native American culture, the women were so divine that other men and other people who weren't on their cycle could not be around them, because they did not want to add any impurities to their energy while they were in the divine time. And all the women that were on their cycles, all their cycles linked up with the moon. So every full moon, everyone was on their cycles, and all of the women will come together to create this spiritual powerhouse while they were on their cycles. I know right now people are like, ew, like I felt shame. I know I was programmed to feel shame when that happens. And then I know a lot of women in our adult years are like, ew, that's so nasty. They don't want to deal with it. You know, Teal Swan, my girl Teal, she do a yoni painting with her period blood every month. Mm-hmm. See that face.
You see my face.
That face, you know. But a lot of women use it to manifest. A lot of women use it to grow their plants and recycle it back into the earth when they understand the power and the potency of this, because we have the ability to purify, because it's not just, it's coming out in the form of blood, but it's everything in us that's being purified, we have a track. That's why all these birth control that stop your period and all that, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Do you know what's really going on if you do that? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I know I made that face, but that's just because I honestly, first of all, it comes with more research, and second of all, it comes with just your path. And right now, I don't see myself grabbing it up and making no pictures with it, let alone selling them. But
I don't think she's selling yoni paintings.
But I've seen and researched people using it toward plants, and I even see the benefits of, like, when you're growing your vegetables or any kind of flowers and stuff in your garden to use it, because it's nutrients at the end of the day, you know. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I get it. I'm just, yeah, I ain't there.
Mm-hmm. I'll buy a yoni painting.
I'm not buying it.
Miss Divine, I am starving.
You are? That's funny. I feel hungry too. But let's do one more. So just pick one more. This is the last one, right?
You want to go to this is the last video, right?
Yeah, I believe. What's the next slide?
50. So then the last one is 26 minutes, or the next slide. Oh, that's it. So
okay, yeah. So 26 minutes. Yeah. Might as well watch the whole video. Just kidding.
My stomach like,
the complexity of the deity you're dealing with, bitch, you won't win. You will not win. And so what y'all have to understand is all of this, it's a man's world. All of this, can't no bitch tell me shit, blah, 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 blah. And black women, I don't want y'all to think I'm calling y'all bitches. I'm just using terms that niggas use so that I can talk to niggas in a way they understand. All of this derogatory shit y'all get, comes from patrilineal thinking. Patrilineal thinking comes from Europeans. It comes from fucking Englishmen. When they came over here, they called this what? New England. What the fuck is the name of the football team? New England Patriots. They were fucking patriots. George Washington, all these founding fucking fathers were patriots. African people were matrilineal. Okay? When you hear even religions, right? When you hear whatchamacallit? Damn, what's the goddamn word for fucking religion with a single deity? Oh yeah, when you hear all these monotheistic religions versus polytheistic religions, poly means many, mono means single. All of these monotheistic religions make you worship one man. Go research the polytheistic religions and look how many female deities, including men, were worshipped. This is why even when we talk about polyandry and polygamy or polygamy, okay, comes from our polyistic understanding and our matrilineal understanding. All of this monotheistic religion comes from a patrilineal motherfucking thought process.
Okay, pause.
Brain is a computer.
Okay, and then that leads to I will wrap it up after this, but that leads to my final question. So this is what left me thinking, right? So if our natural role is to transmute energy and the male's natural role is to, exert the energy, then what is more natural, polygamy or monogamy, being with one person? And I'm asking this because how the role normally is, it'd be like one man with multiple wives, right? How much transmuting does he need? You get what I'm saying? And let's say it was split.
How powerful that man is at the same time, though.
True. But it's also been switched because sometimes, like I know with Queen Nzinga, I teach about her in our homeschool. She was a queen, and she was a Black queen, and she had a bunch of male, like they weren't her husbands, but they were like, I want to say concubines, but I feel like that's for females. But basically, she had a bunch of males she was messing with, and when she got done messing with them, she would kill them. And so for her to kill them, I'm thinking of it as some kind of like energy exchange too. But how many did she need to? How much energy was she trying to get to transmute? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm at. That's how I ended up taking all this. Is it left me with a natural thought. The next step of thought, which is, so how does polygamy and monogamy work when it comes to energy?
How do you think it is? Are you still on the thought, or have you come?
Yeah, I'm still in the thought. Like literally, when I decided that I wanted to introduce Pharaoh to people who may not have heard of him, and us doing this PowerPoint, it left me on that thought of how does that work? Because even with religion, and so since we're talking about it though, I'm starting to believe that I don't know. This is just like what's coming to me now. I still have to connect the logical dots to it. But with religion, it stresses the fact that basically it should be one man and multiple wives when it comes to the Islamic religion. I don't know about the Bible. I don't even know if the Bible, they probably somewhere okay it. I don't know. But I know that the religion stresses one man, multiple wives. So I feel like we've just gotten so many wrong instructions from the Bible that maybe I should just go ahead and take the opposite route and believe that it should be actually the way Queen Nzinga had it, where it was her, and I guess multiple men maybe, or even just it's not supposed to be. What society is making me feel too is that it's not supposed to be polygamy. That's what I feel, because they promote it. They promote it like it's candy. They promote it like everybody should want that, and that it's hard to have a relationship where you're committed to just one person. They make it seem almost impossible and make it seem as if it's something you should not want at all because it's unattainable, unrealistic, and just, everybody, it's so easy to be with multiple people. So I think when something seems too easy, it's for a reason. But that's just where I'm at right now intuitively, not even really researching to connect the dots for myself.
Well, I don't think polygamy is what's being promoted, because polygamy is another form of union with discipline and what people are doing is it lacks discipline.
It does lack discipline, but for you looking at it with discipline, I think that's just a higher learning that you have, because what they're showing, they are throwing it off as polygamy.
I definitely see monogamy looking difficult, which is why I personally don't believe that monogamy is our natural way. When it comes to one man and multiple women, the energy exchange is different from multiple men and one woman. First of
Yeah, definitely.
one, because we're receiving, right? So we're receiving multiple energies from these men. And if we have a child, who is the dad? And opposed to the other way around, the man is dumping. It's just the one man. You're still receiving energy from the one man, and you always know who's the father in the event that all of you guys decide to populate. Now, the polygamous structure, it has rules, it has discipline, just like the monogamous structure. But the difference between monogamy and polygamy is the goal of the family. So a lot of people who are polygamous, they want to be polygamous because they understand that raising their children with a community of women will make the child smarter and thus make them a better contribution to society or to carry on their genetics. So, for example, one wife might be a great homeschool teacher. One wife might be a great homemaker, and she can cook and clean. One wife might be great at gardening. One wife might be great at banking. So this child is going to have all the knowledge from a woman, because a child is as smart as the mother, mainly, right? The child learns the most from the mother. So in the polygamous structure, it's really about creating children that are going to be way ahead of the curve, because they understand the influence of the mother. If one mother is a great influence, multiple mothers on one child, that's like catastrophic, right? So that is the polygamous structure. When it comes to what they're promoting in society, that's just to me the whole idea of sex just losing its power, losing its value, and that's what we're seeing in society right now. But I don't think it has to do with polygamy.
And that's what I'm saying, is that I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that you obviously understand the actual meaning of polygamy, and I don't feel like that's what's being expressed out here. I think how it's being expressed is not from the values and the understanding of what polygamy actually is, but just from the standpoint of you can have sex with a whole bunch of women. You could be with a whole bunch of women like that.
Polygamy, or I think that's more so they just calling it free. They're calling it free living. They're calling.
And this is what I'm saying is that people are seeing, like you said, it's actually not polygamy, but they're seeing this as being polygamous. They're seeing the open relationships. They're seeing this whole being free that you're talking about. They're seeing all this, and they're looking at it like it's natural to not be with one woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Now I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that, of course, what they're seeing is not the true meaning of what polygamy is, but people aren't. This is the problem, which is why we're doing this in the first place, is that people are hearing things or seeing things and taking it and running with it without stopping to see what it really means, definition, the history of it, how to logically make it make sense. So when they're seeing things on TV is not promoting being with one person. They're promoting you being with a bunch of other people, or especially the males being with a bunch of the females, and the females, I guess the females can be with other male stuff too, but it's promoting basically the males. What I see mostly is that the male is able to sleep with multiple females, and it's normal. Like, this is the main, this is the side, this is the, the wife, this is the whatever. Like, they all have their own roles and stuff like that. So it looks like polygamy to somebody who wants to experience that and who wants that and knows of something that works that's like that. But guarantee that these people who are out here doing this don't even understand what polygamy is. So what you're describing is true polygamy. And I don't feel like it's being advertised as that. I don't feel like it's the guy saying, I'm with these multiple women, and I have children by them or whatever, and they are going to raise a wonderful nation of children. They're sleeping with this person, and then sneaking and being with this person. Now they have a family, and then doing stuff with this person. Like, I feel like that it's being masked as polygamy, but that's not what polygamy actually is.
Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't feel like that's being masked as polygamy. I think it's just like it's just showing like that men can't commit. Well, that most people don't want to commit at this time. But as far as like it being like actually called polygamy, I don't see it being called that. I just think a lot of people are more so jumping on like open relationship. They hopping on that wave.
Well, I see it as people jumping on polygamy, even with the open relationships, that they are looking at it with the polygamous lens on, not understanding what polygamy is.
That could be true.
Well, that's the people I know who have talked about it, and their number one take is, I guess just because their stance of it is, I don't believe in monogamy like that. I believe in polygamy because of this, and none of their reasons are because of what polygamy actually means. Some of them may say it, but they're not showing up as that. Meaning they already have children who they're not, they're not worried about how those children are being raised, let alone are they taking care of those children. But what they're worried about is the next person they're going to go get and what this person's going to do for them. Basically, the different types of advantages they can get from having multiple women, not necessarily for what the family unit can have as a whole with having more than one mother figure there.
Got it. Okay.
But I do believe what you're saying, that you definitely understand it in a different kind of way, and that that way makes more sense energetically wise.
Yeah. And if you have whole women, that can be a successful structure. That's not jealous and all of that. And who found themselves and who have lives outside of a relationship and all of that. When you have a whole woman, yeah. And if you have a man that's actually can afford. Pharaoh was polygamous.
Yeah, I heard. Mm-hmm.
And it was a Jamaican. No, I'm just playing.
Was it you?
Damn statue of Heru and Isis, or I said however the fuck you want to say the words. They got a statue of Heru where he's not just a baby, he's an adult, but his figure is shrunken to where he's small enough to fit on his mother's lap, meaning you'll never be bigger than your mother. And so this means our ancestors built pyramids under the ideology of the matrilineal mentality. But you motherfuckers can't tie your fucking shoe, and you wonder why. Because you in a patrilineal mentality. And we not winning because our women seek out everybody but us. And we blame them. Why? Because we seek out everybody but them. And I'm going to end on this, right? I don't really give a fuck. It's not my life. But y'all talked all that shit about Serena Williams dating the white boy. She's a sellout. She's a coon. Haka, blocka, 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 shit, bullshit, right? But what y'all do to Serena Williams when she first came out? Mm-hmm. The Wayne brothers ran her all through the motherfucking, the goddamn media. Talking about how she looked like a man. That's all y'all did was make jokes about her because she was athletically fit. Because she was physically fit. So she's not attractive to us because she's physically fit. But Kim Kardashian, who not only not physically fit, she's not even physically fucking natural. She's the coldest thing out, huh? So y'all ran Serena Williams through the fucking woodworks, didn't show her no love. Then when she went where she felt she was loved, I'm gonna assume that's what she did. Went where she felt she was loved, allegedly. Now she a sellout. So we don't accept our own women. They go where they accepted that. And then we shit on them. Because all you niggas want to do is have foreign, exotic, plastic, Barbie-looking, ugly motherfuckers in your goddamn videos and in your face all day. And then when your woman don't feel love and another nigga who know her wealth and know her worth come grab her, now you want to shit on her. So we got to get back to the point where ain't nobody good enough but our woman. It ain't about being racist. It's about having fucking pride and self-love. Because that is another version of yourself, motherfucker.
Gotta end it right there.
Gotta end right there.
Oh, we go.
Exactly what he said. It's another version of ourselves. So even like we started off with saying is that, yes, we all are one. We are the same. We are all God. But it comes back to, if you can't love the source, how do you love yourself? And he made a good point saying that it's getting to the point now where we are looking outside of our own races for love. And so what's this doing? That's weakening that's weakening the energy. That's doing. It's weakening the energy, especially when the people we're going to don't love us or don't love our people as a whole. They might love us individually, but don't love our people as a whole.
Yeah, I see that happening all the time. He's right though, you know, like I know I've experienced where the worst things were done to me by Black men. And then I've experienced where who was there to swoop me up and hold me while I cried? My white male best friend. So I feel it. I feel it on a lot of levels. And had that worked out, I would have been with a white man today. You know, but it didn't. But I'm just saying, I just say all of that to say he's absolutely right. We just gotta get better at treating each other better. Because women was dogging Selena out too for her body being masculine and
because we're all trained to not like the Black woman.
right.
We're all trained to go against the Black woman.
Right. And so right, Pharaoh?
Yeah, so when it comes to is the Black woman God, my vote is yes. My vote is yes.
It's not even an opinion, it's facts.
It's facts. It is facts. And if someone is rejecting that or having a hard time believing that, then ask, what is it about a Black woman that you don't want to be or that you don't want to be a part of? What is it about yourself you're rejecting? Because it is facts.
Mm-hmm.
And so just remember, Star Pupils, to stay woke. Even when you're learning these things in the conscious community, anything that's grabbing your attention or making you question it, meditate on it, then go back and connect the dots. Really look at the things that you've been taught and the things that you're resisting. Because I did not resist the Black woman is God when I first heard it, but I was asking myself, how? And the reason why I was asking myself how is because I realized how programmed we've been, where this is the furthest conclusion from my mind as to who God is. But it is facts. It's right there, plain as day, and we just refuse to see it, or we can't see it because we've been indoctrinated to believe that everything else is better than the Black woman. Yet they're showing us every day, when you see in this type of things that's being promoted on TV, what they're making money from, and how other women are trying to be like us, that Black woman is God. Because everything's returning back to source, right? Everything returns back to nature.
Yep.
And so thank you for joining us today, Coach C.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mrs.
No
Divine
problem.
Awakening.
Good night, Star Pupils.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this episode of Glitching Up the Matrix, remember to like, share, and subscribe.